Hello everyone, thank you for joining us. I'm Nick Vinzan. Aaliyah has the weekend off. Tonight, cyclists from all across Tucson are gathering together to remember one of their own. Richard Elwinger was killed earlier this week after police say a drunk driver hit him while he was riding on a mountain. News 4 Tucson's Eric Fink is live downtown where the cycling community is getting ready for a memorial ride in Elwinger's honor. Eric? Thank you, Eric. A Phoenix man accused of killing his girlfriend, putting her body in a gun safe, and then burying it in the desert is now out of jail. 59-year-old Paul Palandri was arrested on Thursday for the 2016 murder of Jana Van Sickle. Officials say Van Sickle was planning to break up with Palandri when she was killed. Her body was found on the Gila River Indian community. Palandri has denied being involved, but a witness recently reported him saying that he killed her. As the number of deaths continues to rise, the search for survivors of Hurricane Michael is intensifying. At least 18 people in 4 states have been killed, but tonight the focus is on the Florida Panhandle. Chris Pallone has the latest. Thank you, Jeff, and we're now getting more details about just how much information hackers got from a recent Facebook data breach. Facebook says hackers accessed emails, names, phone numbers, and personal details of 29 million accounts. Hackers got even more data from 14 million of those accounts, including hometowns, birth dates, and recent searches. Facebook officials say the search was fairly broad and that they will be sending messages to people whose accounts were hacked. And several children at the TMM Family Services got the chance to photograph their heartfelt dreams today as part of the national program Pictures of Hope. One mentor was our very own Tucson Mayor Jonathan Rothschild. News 4 Tucson Today was at today's event and got to see several kids capture their dreams. It's a story you'll see only on News 4. The 4th annual Oro Valley Music Festival kicks off today, and there is one big change this year. It is taking place at Naranja Park. Coordinators say rain or shine, the show will go on. They will have tents set up, but they suggest bringing a rain jacket. Umbrellas, remember, are not allowed in the venue. Oro Valley Police say it's a good idea to have a parking and traffic plan in place. Now check out the lineup, or if you want to buy tickets, head on over to our website at kvoa.com. Also happening this weekend is Tucson Meet Yourself. The annual festival celebrates Tucson's cultural diversity. 30 different countries are represented, including 56 food vendors, 100 performers, and 100 folk artists. Remember, though, this year the festival is in a new location. It had to be moved from Presidio Park because the weight of all the people was too much for the parking garage that was underneath the event. The event is now being held downtown between Church Street and Stoughton Avenue. Now, that festival runs through Sunday, and to see a schedule of events and more details, head over to kvoa.com. Coming up on News 4 Tucson Live at 5:30, early voting is underway for the midterm elections, how you can get your ballot in before November 6th. And since a winner was not claimed during excuse me, my voice seems to be dying quickly. A winner was not claimed in last night's Mega Millions jackpot drawing. You could win in the upcoming one. How you can do that coming up.
Red Sox, Chris Sale's velocity is down, which is not good. Either he's hurt, or it's cold, or it's both.
He's a pitcher.
He is a pitcher. Went to Florida Gulf Coast University.
So I'm not a big baseball person, as you can maybe
I can
guess.
tell.
Did the Mets make it into the playoffs?
No, the Mets did not make it into the playoffs.
Didn't.
Thanks for asking, Nicholas.
I can't believe it.
Right?
I really didn't know.
But Jacob deGrom's probably going to win the NL Cy Young, so that's one good thing about the Mets.
Yeah.
And they have Shake Shack in center field.
Do you want to tell your Popeye story? Do we have time for the Popeye story?
Oh, I went to Vail Popeyes last night after the game,
big.
and they gave me 6 tenders when I ordered 4. I was excited.
That is the greatest thing to happen to him in a long time. All right, we'll be right back. Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us. I'm Nick Vinzan. Aaliyah has the weekend off. Tucson cycling community gathered together today for a special ride. Police say Rick Elwinger was riding on a mountain when he was killed by a drunk driver. Tonight, friends and family members rode up a mountain in his honor. News 4 Tucson's Eric Fink was there. And developing right now, one person is in the hospital after being hit by a car near Oracle and Ina. This is a live look at the scene of that crash. You can see that Northwest Fire officials have been able to clean it up, but they do say that a pedestrian was hit around 8 o'clock. They were taken to the hospital with life-threatening injuries. DPS is still investigating exactly what caused the crash, but as you can see, that roadway is back open and traffic is moving normally. The Pima County Sheriff's Department needs your help tonight finding a missing man. 92-year-old Everett Ritchie, who you see there, was last seen this afternoon on North La Cholla Drive. He may be driving a green Honda CR-V with the license plate WCEPY94. If you have any information about Everett's whereabouts, call 911. President Donald Trump will soon be making a campaign stop right here in Arizona. Officials with the president's campaign announced today that he will hold a MAGA rally on Friday in Mesa. President Trump is expected to voice his support for Congresswoman Martha McSally at that event. McSally is currently in a closely contested Senate race against Democrat Kyrsten Sinema. A North Carolina pastor is back on U.S. soil tonight. He spent 2 years in prison in Turkey after being charged with spying and terrorism charges that he strongly denied. NBC's Chris Ballone has more on his welcome home.
In just a bit. Nick.
Thanks, Jeff. Well, this is an event that helps children capture their dreams. Every year, several children with TMM Family Services get to participate in the national program Pictures of Hope. News 4 Tucson's Danelle Confair has the inspiring story. It's a story you'll see only on News 4. Coming up next on News 4 Tucson Live at 10, early voting is now underway for the midterm elections. How you can make sure you get your ballot in before November 6th. Plus, Tucson Meet Yourself continues tomorrow. What you need to know if you plan on heading out there.
Investigating for you. This is News 4 Tucson.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us. I'm Nick Van Zandt. Aaliyah has the weekend off. We start tonight with breaking news. This is a live look at I-10, where the Arizona Department of Transportation has closed parts of I-10 near Tucson due to a crash. Officials say that the closure that you're seeing at right now is at Cortero Farms Road. Westbound traffic, which is what you're looking at, is being diverted off of I-10 because all of the westbound lanes are closed. Crews are working to clear that roadway. Now, there's no details yet on exactly what caused the crash, but there is a long backup that you can see. There is no timetable for when the roadway will reopen. Over the last week, local churches and community organizations have been asked to house a growing number of migrants looking for asylum. News 4 Tucson's Danelle Confair has the latest numbers, and if the increase is expected to continue, it's new at 10. A hiker had to be taken to the hospital this afternoon after being swept off a bridge in Sabino Canyon. Rural Metro fire officials say the woman was knocked off the bridge by fast-moving water and then ended up being carried downstream. Now, rescue crews ended up using a helicopter to lift her out of that water and get her to safety. She was then taken to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. President Donald Trump plans to visit Florida and Georgia on Monday to get a first-hand look at the damage caused by Hurricane Michael. The storm killed 18 people and leveled entire communities in Florida's Panhandle. Dan Shinneman has the latest on the storm's aftermath. Thank you, Matt. Tonight, world leaders are coming together to ask the Saudi government for a credible investigation into the death of a Washington Post journalist. Meanwhile, President Donald Trump says there will be severe punishments if the Saudis were involved. Jennifer Johnson is in Washington with the latest. We are now less than 24 hours away from a pivotal Senate debate right here in Arizona. Republican Martha McSally and Democrat Kyrsten Sinema are close in the polls, and News 4 Tucson's Eric Fink has a preview of the issues that could decide the vote. Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us. I'm Nick Van Zandt. Aaliyah has the weekend off. Today, dozens of homeless veterans were given a special farewell in Marana. Organizers of the event said they want to make sure that none of their comrades are forgotten. News 4 Tucson's Eric Fink was at the ceremony. It's a story you'll see only on News 4. One person is dead after an early morning collision this morning near First and Fort Lowell. Officials say a motorcycle and truck collided. The rider was taken to the hospital but did not survive. No word yet on any charges or citation. The intersection that you see there was closed for several hours but has since reopened. A man has been indicted on federal charges for allegedly threatening to kidnap and kill a U.S. senator. According to a charging document, James Blevins threatened a senator only identified by officials, Senator J.F. Senator Jeff Flake said in September that he received death threats during the confirmation process of Justice Brett Kavanaugh. However, it hasn't been confirmed that those two cases are connected. Thousands of migrants fleeing poverty and crime in their home countries are now in a standoff at the border of Mexico and Guatemala. President Donald Trump says they're headed for the U.S. and only Republicans can stop them. Chris Pallone has the latest. With no winner last night, the new estimated Mega Millions jackpot has now passed $1.6 billion, tying for the largest record jackpot. Last night's numbers were 65, 53, 23, 15, 70, and the Mega Ball was 7. California officials say one person did get 5 out of the 6 numbers. The next drawing will be Tuesday, so don't be surprised if that jackpot gets even bigger. Stephanie? Thank you, Stephanie. Cochise County Sheriff's deputies are hoping you can help them find a missing man. 68-year-old Joseph Dow Jr. was last seen leaving his home in Benson on Wednesday morning. Officials say he was riding a purple Schwinn mountain bike with a wooden rack on the back. Deputies say Dowd struggles with memory issues and may have been seen in the Sierra Vista area on Friday. If you see him, contact the Cochise County Sheriff's Office. You can find that number on our website at kvoa.com. 6 people are critically injured after a head-on accident in Phoenix. Officials say 2 vehicles with a total of 9 people were involved in the crash. 4 men and 2 women, ranging from 17 to 70, were rushed to the hospital. The other 3 people had minor injuries. An investigation into exactly what caused that crash is now underway. And the Cochise County Sheriff's Office wants to warn you about a new scam. In it, a caller says that a company called Unisource has taken over Sulphur Springs Valley Electric and that the victim has an outstanding balance of as much as $1,000 in some cases. One person who got the call says the scam sounds legitimate and even includes automated options. Coming up on News 4 Tucson Live at 5:30, the Girl Scouts of Southern Arizona hosting a special event today to teach young girls about the importance of being active in their communities. Plus, a downtown festival transforms an intersection trying to make the roads a safer place. We'll have that story and more when we come right back. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us. I'm Nick Vinzant. John and Angelique have the night off. The State Board of Education has rejected a controversial curriculum change proposed by Superintendent Diane Douglas. And as News 4 Tucson's Eric Fink found out, some local educators believe the board made the right call. It's new at 10. A contractor housing migrant children detained at the border has surrendered licenses for 2 Phoenix locations. The Arizona Department of Health Services says Southwest Key is also paying a $73,000 fine. This comes after alleged misconduct involving staff members. The company's 6 other Arizona locations, including the one here in Tucson, will operate as usual, but will not accept new children. In New York federal court today, a jury convicted 3 people accused of paying high-profile college basketball recruits. Adidas employee James Gatto, former consultant Merle Code, and sports agent Christian Dawkins were all found guilty of wire fraud and conspiracy to commit wire fraud. 3 former assistant coaches, including University of Arizona assistant coach Emmanuel Book Richardson, are scheduled to go on trial in April. Richardson is accused of accepting bribes from Code and Dawkins. New at 10, a woman who pled guilty in the death of her boyfriend has been sentenced to 10.5 years in prison. Jessica Rodriguez pled guilty to manslaughter in the death of Richard Jensen. Police say he was shot multiple times in front of his house in December of 2016. Rodriguez's brother and a man who worked with her were also charged in Jensen's death. And the retrial of a border agent, Lonnie Schwartz, is now underway. Schwartz is accused of shooting and killing a Mexican teenager in a cross-border shooting. News 4 Tucson's Danelle Confair was in federal court today and has the latest. A semi-truck driver is now facing federal smuggling charges after authorities say he was found with more than a dozen undocumented immigrants inside of his trailer. Nogales Border Patrol agents arrested the 47-year-old man at the Interstate 19 immigration checkpoint. He was initially pulled over for inspection after a canine officer detected some kind of odor. Agents found 2 Guatemalan nationals and 16 Mexican nationals inside of the truck. Investigators are now looking into the cause of a fire at an East Side car dealership. Tucson firefighters were called to the Mercedes-Benz dealership on Grant Road near Wilmot around 2 o'clock this afternoon. Officials say the fire started in one car, but crews were able to get there quick enough to keep it from spreading. One employee had to be taken to the hospital with minor injuries. No firefighters were hurt. This weekend, the St. David Fire Department will say goodbye to a firefighter who died after a training exercise. Funeral services are set on Saturday for 36-year-old Joshua Eugen. He went into cardiac arrest during a training drill last week and was pronounced dead at the hospital just hours later. Eugen was former military and had been with the department for just 11 months. The funeral will be held at the St. David School gym beginning at 10 a.m. And a heartbreaking story out of Phoenix area. Chandler police say a 4-week-old baby was found dead inside his mother's apartment after she reported that he was abducted. Investigators say the 19-year-old mother is considered a suspect. Police received a 911 call from the woman saying someone abducted the baby while at a park. They say he was found dead at the apartment just a few miles away. And we're tracking a developing story tonight. Authorities are investigating 7 suspicious packages sent to the addresses of prominent Democrats. Among the intended recipients, President Barack Obama and former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton. Dan Shinneman has the latest. Right now, cleanup is underway in parts of Mexico that have been hard hit by Hurricane Willa. The Category 3 storm slammed the country's Pacific coast overnight. There have been no immediate reports of death, but the storm's 120-mile-per-hour winds knocked out power and damaged buildings in the central western Mexican coastal area. Now, the storm is weakening, but residents in Texas and the Florida Panhandle are bracing for the remnants right now. And 2 months after Hurricane Florence hit one school district in North Carolina, that district is now back open. Some of the schools had structural damage and water damage that had to be fixed before they were deemed safe to re-enter. One teacher said he sent home some assignments with the students when schools closed more than 6 weeks ago. The school district will now try to make up for the lost days however it can, but the state says that they will forgive 20 school days. Straight ahead on News 4 Tucson Live at 10, a Tucson neighborhood dealing with the coyote problem in an interesting way. What wildlife officials are doing to try to keep the animals far away from that neighborhood. Plus, how leaving a pumpkin on your doorstep could get you fined. Matt?
This is News 4 Tucson, live at 6.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us. I'm Nick Van Zant. The retrial of Border Patrol agent Lonnie Schwartz is now underway. Schwartz is accused of shooting and killing a Mexican teenager in a cross-border shooting. News 4 Tucson's Danelle Confair was in federal court today and joins us now with the latest. A manhunt is now underway for the suspect who sent several pipe bombs to CNN and prominent Democrats. The Secret Service says it found potential explosive devices at the homes of Bill and Hillary Clinton in New York, President Barack Obama in Washington, former Attorney General Eric Holder, and Congresswoman Maxine Waters. The devices were found just 2 days after a similar package was found in the mailbox of Democratic megadonor George Soros. CNN's New York studio was also evacuated after a suspicious device was found there. No one was injured by the packages. And in response to the several threats, we checked with local Democratic leaders to see if they are increasing security. Representative Raul Grijalva's spokesperson says they are adhering to safety procedures given by the Capitol Police. The executive director of the Pima County Democratic Party also says they haven't received any threats. Senator Jeff Flake was in New York when the suspicious packages were found. President Donald Trump spoke this afternoon at the White House saying the Americans need to unify. A federal jury has convicted 3 people of paying high-profile college basketball recruits. Adidas employee James Gatto, former consultant Merrill Code, and sports agent Christian Dawkins were found guilty of wire fraud and conspiracy to commit wire fraud. Gatto was also found guilty on an additional wire fraud charge. Now, the trial begins in April for 3 former assistant coaches, including University of Arizona assistant coach Emmanuel Book Richardson. Richardson is accused of accepting bribes from Code and Dawkins. A contractor that houses immigrant children detained at the border has surrendered licenses for 2 Phoenix locations. The Arizona Department of Health Services says Southwest Key is also paying a $73,000 fine. This after alleged misconduct involving staff. Southwest Key has agreed to hire a third-party healthcare consultant. Now, the company's 6 other locations in Arizona, including the one in Tucson, will operate as usual without accepting new children. There's now a new plan to help one Tucson community help with what residents say is a growing coyote problem. It involves paintball guns. News 4 Tucson's Stephanie Weaver has more. And wildlife that gets into your Halloween decorations could cost you some money. Arizona game officials say you could be fined up to $300 for feeding wildlife. This includes pumpkins set outside of your house for Halloween. Now, in order to be fined, though, for animals eating your pumpkins, someone has to report you, and they must find evidence that animals got into your decorations. Imagine this, riding coast to coast in 45 days on a bicycle, doing a wheelie almost the entire time. The man who holds the world record is passing through Tucson, and photojournalist Tim Idden has the story. It's a story you will see only on 4. And speaking of a good cause, today we're making wishes come true with airline miles. News 4 Tucson and Make-A-Wish Arizona are hosting a telethon today through the Give Wishes Wings Drive. Priscilla Casper is live at Simply Bits, where airline passengers can make a donation to help make their wishes come true. Priscilla? Welcome back. The Mega Millions frenzy is over for now because there is a winner. Somebody won nearly $1.6 billion, but they have not come forward yet. And that winning ticket was sold in South Carolina. And the lucky man or woman can either take the lump sum and get $913 million before taxes, or get the full payout over the next 29 years. Clergy and faith leaders here in Arizona will now be trained on how to administer Narcan, a life-saving opioid overdose reversal medication. The Attorney General's office says it's all part of a toolkit to try and help churches and places of worship better serve the needs to parishioners who are battling an opioid addiction. The training will also include prevention tips, identifying signs of addiction, and where to turn for help. Stay with us. We'll be right back with a look at your weather. Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us. We begin tonight with breaking news. The Benson Police Department is now investigating a threat made against school districts in the Benson Unified School District. In response to the threat, the district has canceled school and all school-related activities on Monday. District officials aren't going into details about what that threat was, but they are working with police to investigate. They're also asking anyone with information to contact police. The National Weather Service has confirmed a tornado touched down today just outside of Winslow. People in the area were able to capture it on video. Look closely. It's right there in the middle of your screen. That tornado appeared shortly after a tornado warning was issued for the area. And we also got some strong storms right here in southern Arizona. For more on that, let's get over to Stephanie Weaver. Stephanie? Thank you, Stephanie. We are now less than 3 weeks away from Election Day, and today, some big-name Democrats rallied right here in southern Arizona. News 4 Tucson's Eric Fink has the story. Republican candidates, meanwhile, are also making efforts to get out the vote. Tucson Congresswoman Martha McSally welcomed President Donald Trump at a rally in Mesa on Friday night. She praised his stance on immigration as he rallied his base to also get out early and vote. And tonight, a growing caravan of Central American migrants are making their way through Mexico towards the United States. Numbering in the thousands, the migrants say they are fleeing violence and poverty in their home countries, and that they will continue to move north despite threats by Mexico to deport them. Mariana Atencio has the latest from southern Mexico. A hiker who went missing on Saturday has been found. The Pima County Sheriff's Office says this person, 53-year-old Dean Singleton, went missing while hiking near Sabino Canyon. Officials have not yet released where he was found or his current condition, but stay with News 4 Tucson for updates as more information becomes available. New details tonight from Saudi Arabia's foreign minister. He's now saying that the Saudi crown prince had no prior knowledge of a meeting that led to the journalist Jamal Khashoggi's death. But members of Congress aren't buying this, the latest story, and they are asking the president, who should have more answers on Tuesday. Jennifer Johnson has the latest from Washington. Hey everybody, Stephanie Weaver joining us now. I am very angry at the weather today.
Why is that?
Because I've been growing a cactus for 2 years, and it got knocked over by the wind.
I'm so sorry.
Tragedy at the Vinzan household.
Buy another one.
It's not going to be the same. That was my cactus.
Rip. Rest in peace, cactus.
Poor guy.
Aw,
Just
you
didn't
gonna
stand
bury
a
him?
chance. No, I think we just put it in the trash can, actually.
News 4 Tucson, live at 10.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us. I'm Nick Vinzan. Aaliyah has the weekend off. Today, dozens of homeless veterans were given a special farewell in Marana. Organizers of the event say they want to make sure none of their comrades are forgotten. News 4 Tucson's Eric Fink was at the ceremony. It's a story you'll see only on News 4. One man has been indicted on federal charges for allegedly threatening to kidnap and kill a U.S. senator. According to a charging document, James Blevins threatened a senator only identified by officials as Senator J.F. Senator Jeff Flake said in September that he received death threats during the confirmation process of Justice Brett Kavanaugh. However, it hasn't yet been confirmed that those two cases are connected. President Donald Trump is now saying he's not satisfied with Saudi Arabia's explanation for the killing of a Washington Post journalist in Turkey. The president said earlier that the Saudis took a, quote, good first step by arresting some suspects. Bill Neely has the latest from Istanbul. With no winner last night, the new estimated Mega Millions jackpot has now passed $1.6 billion, making this a tie for the second largest jackpot ever. Last night's numbers were 65, 53, 23, 15, 70, and the Mega Ball was 7. California officials, though, say one person did get 5 out of the 6 numbers. The next drawing will be Tuesday, so don't be surprised if that $1.6 billion jackpot gets even bigger. Thank you, Stephanie. One man is dead after an early morning collision near First and Fort Lowell. Officials say 34-year-old Nicholas Rollins was speeding on that motorcycle when he ran a red light and crashed into a truck. Rollins was taken to the hospital but did not survive. Police say the truck driver was not impaired. No citations have been issued. A special event was held today to bring awareness to the need for a cure for cancer. The Leukemia and Lymphoma Society Tucson held its annual Light the Night Walk to raise money for cancer research. At least 2,500 people, you could see the crowds gathered to show their support for those affected by the deadly disease. Now, the group's mission is to find a cure for blood cancers and ensure that patients have access to life-saving treatments. Coming up next on News 4 Tucson Live at 10, the Girl Scouts of Southern Arizona hosting a special event to teach young girls about the importance of being active in their communities. Plus, a festival downtown is transforming an intersection, trying to make it a safer place for on the roads. We'll have that and more when we come right back.
Investigating for you.
Welcome back, everybody. Stephanie Weaver joining us now. Stephanie, a little bit of sad news for me. My petition to combine June and July into 1 month, no signatures. Basically, everyone here thinks it's a terrible idea. So,
Yes, it's a terrible idea.
it is. But
But
the weather's
June and
kind of the
July-
same.
yeah.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us. I'm Nick Van Zandt. We begin tonight with breaking news. Right now, Tucson police are investigating after a skull is found in a dumpster on the south side. This is a live look at the scene. Now, what we've learned so far is that the skull was found in a dumpster behind the Little Caesars. You can see some crime scene units there now investigating. Now, this Little Caesars is near the intersection of 12th and Valencia. Officials say that the skull was found by a man who was going through the dumpster around 4 o'clock this afternoon. Police say that so far the skull appears to be human, but right now they do not know if it is connected to a crime. Looking back through court records, we found that 36-year-old Christopher Clements has had a criminal record for nearly 20 years, ever since he was in high school. It's a News 4 Tucson investigation. In 1998, Clements was convicted of 2 sex offense charges in Oregon. He served 18 months in prison and had to register as a sex offender. 8 years later, in 2006, Clements was arrested again, this time for failing to register as a sex offender in Florida. Clements was then arrested again in 2006. Court records show officials in Oregon charged him with violating a protective order against stalking and harassment. A year later, Clements was in Tucson. In 2007, he was charged with giving false information to law enforcement officials after they say he gave a fake name and date of birth to a police officer. The officer stopped Clements after seeing him take something out of a bus stop trash can. In 2008, Clements was again charged with failing to register as a sex offender. Over the next 4 years, records show that Clements lived at several different places around Tucson, including one apartment about 2 miles from Celis's home. Clements avoided any run-ins with law enforcement until 2017, when he was arrested in Maricopa County for burglary and fraud. Court records also show that he owes more than $20,000 in child support. Stephanie Weaver joining us now. Okay, so I joked about this at 5:30, but is there really any chance it could possibly snow on Mount Lemon?
Yes. Well, not at Mount Lemon, in the White Mountains.
Oh.
So
Okay.
near Pine
Oh,
Top
okay.
area. Not Mount Lemon yet, but in the White Mountains, 1 to 3 inches expected Sunday night into Monday. No accumulation or anything, but hey, snow is finally here
take
in
what
Arizona.
You can get.
Get ready to go skiing.
Yep.
Actually, no, probably
No.
don't.
No,
Ski
we're going
Valley,
that could be
skiing.
dangerous.
We're going skiing.
Ski Valley was closed like all year last year. We didn't get
ready.
anything. But maybe this
snow.
year. Maybe it's on the horizon. But right now,
Skiing. We're going
skiing.
skiing.
You're going skiing.
Wait,
Get
no.
ready.
Yeah, skiing is snow skiing, not water skiing. Those are two different things.
Very different.
Saturday and Sunday, Nick. 102 and 105.
Oh.
Your face
The
shows
105.
so much.
I know. The 105 is when I feel like, well, that's really hot.
And
I
it's
guess-
really June.
I know. Good. It'll only get hotter.
Yeah, exactly.
If you do need some good news, though, look at this story. Some French musicians amazed spectators with a thrilling concert performed in midair. The performers were suspended on slack lines hundreds of feet off the ground in the mountains of central China. Why is this happening? The 6 musicians are from a French band. They wore safety belts, thank you, as they went on stage, where they played instruments while standing on or suspended from rope lines. The performance awed the crowd and won waves of applause. In addition to playing music, they also showed off their slacklining skills by bouncing on those tight, like, what is going on here? The band has performed in France, Algeria, and the Ivory Coast, but this was their big debut in China. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us. I'm Nick Van Zandt.
And I'm Aaliyah Shahid.
We begin tonight with breaking news. Senator John McCain has died.
The senator's office says he died shortly before.
Some thunderstorms before monsoon 2018 officially begins.
Matt, I'm a little concerned. I think if you look at your weather graphics, is it really going to be 771 degrees?
Well, Nick, you know what? You got a good point there. Mike,
It's a
you
little hot for Tucson.
got a
isn't
little
it?
bit, and that's a nighttime low. What is that 410 for the daytime high? 1,024.
We can't get to 4 digits.
Got a
That's
little
what
bit
happened.
got a little bit finger happy there.
All right, coming up still ahead on News 4 Tucson Live at Florida. Welcome back, every I can't say the word everybody. I tried to start off. I tried to do it right. I really did. And I just went downhill, and I'm so depressed because I really tried.
One of
Blame
the
it on the
first
weather.
words.
We're blaming that on the
know.
weather.
I was so hopeful, and then just...
Stephanie.
Welcome back. Want to update you guys on some breaking news really quick. Santa Cruz officials say they have now found a 3rd body in a wash near Nogales. This is the 3rd body that they have now found ever since some heavy flooding in that area earlier this week. Speaking of weather, what are we going to be looking at for the rest of the week?
No flooding, Nick. In fact, only in the mountaintops we have about a 28% chance of storms on a few days. Otherwise, it's going to be low to mid 90s for daytime highs, comfy overnight lows into the upper 60s. So looking a little bit more like fall, which we are now officially in.
We're going to have more on that breaking news on Tucson today, starting at 5, lasts until 7. See you guys then.